You picked the model, you picked the agent framework, you stood in front of the board and called it a strategic bet. And in 18 months, it is going to be the thing you quietly rip out at 2 a.m., hoping nobody remembers whose idea it was. I have been building software for over a decade and leading engineering teams through more than one hype cycle. I was there for microservices when everything had to be a service. I was there for NoSQL when relational databases were apparently dead. I have watched a lot of confident bets become the legacy nobody wants to own. AI is the biggest one yet. And here is the uncomfortable part. The AI decisions you are making right now feel incredibly smart. They demo beautifully. They impress investors. But some of them are going to age like milk. Not because AI is a bubble. It is not. But because the choices that win a demo are very often the choices that lose you the next 3 years. So today, 7 AI bets that feel smart now and will haunt your CTO future. The kind of thing that shows up later as a migration, a rewrite, or a very awkward all hands. Let's start with the one almost everyone gets wrong first. Let's start with the most seductive one. You standardized on a single model provider. Maybe it was OpenAI because GPT-4o was ahead when you started. Maybe it was Anthropic because Claude wrote cleaner code. You wired your entire product to one API shape, one set of tokenization quirks, one pricing model, and one company's roadmap. And it felt like focus. It felt disciplined. Why abstract over 3 providers when one is clearly winning? Here is how it haunts you. That provider deprecates the exact model version your prompts were tuned against. Your carefully calibrated outputs drift overnight. Your latency doubles during their next big launch because you are sharing capacity with the entire internet. Their pricing changes and your gross margin evaporates on a slide you present to the board. The bet was not the model. Any model is fine. The bet was assuming the frontier would sit still long enough for standardizing to pay off. It never does. The teams that survive built a thin routing layer early, even an ugly one. So swapping providers is a config change and not a quarter of engineering work. The second bet is the one that photographs well. You shipped an agent, multi-step, tool calling, autonomous, the whole thing. You wired it together in LangChain or LangGraph or Crew AI over a couple of intense weeks because the board wanted an agent story and the demo landed. Everyone clapped. Then it went to production. And now, here is your reality. When the agent does something insane, and it will, you cannot actually explain why. The trace is 15 nested calls deep. The state got mutated somewhere in a callback you did not write. The framework abstracted away the exact layer you now desperately need to see. You are debugging someone else's control flow through a fog of prompt templates. The bet that haunts you is not using agents. It is treating an agent framework as a shortcut when it is really a new distributed system with worse observability. The teams doing this well kept it boring. Explicit steps, logged inputs and outputs at every hop. If you cannot debug it at 3 a.m., you do not own it. It owns you. Number 3, and this one is quieter, which is exactly why it is dangerous. You had proprietary data. Your real advantage. The thing a competitor could not copy. And in the rush to ship AI features, you piped all of it into a vendor's platform. Their embeddings, their fine-tuning endpoint, their managed vector store, their evaluation tooling. It was faster. Of course it was faster. That is what managed platforms sell. But look at what you actually traded. Your moat now lives inside someone else's product. Your ability to move is now a function of their export policy. When they raise prices, you cannot leave, because leaving means re-embedding years of data and rebuilding a retrieval pipeline you never actually owned. You optimized for speed to launch and mortgaged your independence to do it. The haunting version shows up in a due diligence meeting, when an acquirer asks who controls your core data infrastructure, and the honest answer is a vendor you have no leverage over. Move fast, yes, but keep the crown jewels, your data, and your retrieval layer on infrastructure you can walk away with. Here is one that is already happening in code bases everywhere. Your team got fast. Cursor, Copilot, whatever they are running, they are shipping more code than ever. Velocity is up. The board loves the charts. But walk over to a mid-level engineer and ask them to explain the module they merged last week, line by line, and watch what happens. There is a pause. Because they did not really write it. They prompted it, skimmed it, saw the test pass, and shipped it. And it works, until it does not. Until there is a subtle race condition or a security hole buried in code that nobody on the team actually understands, because the person who generated it was never the person who comprehended it. This is the bet that compounds silently. You are not accumulating knowledge in your team. You are accumulating code your team is a stranger to. When the incident comes and the tool cannot fix its own mess, you learn that comprehension does not scale by autocomplete. The teams getting this right still review like adults. The AI writes the draft. A human owns the understanding. Moving on. This next one hides inside your own repo. Somewhere in your codebase there is a folder. It is full of prompts, long ones with few shot examples, edge case patches, and comments that say, "Do not touch this line," or "the model breaks." And over time, that folder quietly became your actual business logic. Nobody decided this. It just accreted. A prompt tweak here to fix a customer complaint. A hard-coded instruction there to stop a hallucination. No versioning, no tests, no owner. Just a growing pile of natural language holding your product together with vibes. The bet that haunts you is mistaking prompt tinkering for architecture. Because when the underlying model changes, and it will, every one of those carefully balanced prompts can shift behavior at once, and you have no systematic way to know what broke. This is the new configuration hell. Except the configuration is written in English and behaves non-deterministically. Treat prompts like code. Version them. Test them against real cases. A prompt in production without an eval behind it is not a feature. It is a liability you have not been billed for yet. The sixth one is the bet nobody wants to talk about, because it means admitting how much you are running on faith. You shipped AI features, real ones, in front of real users. And if I ask you, right now, how do you know your AI is actually doing a good job? The honest answer for most teams is a shrug, dressed up as confidence. You have vibes. You have a few screenshots from good demos. You have the absence of loud complaints. What you do not have is evils. No systematic test suite for quality. No regression detection when the model updates. No numbers you would stake your reputation on. So when quality quietly degrades, and it degrades gradually, you find out from a churn report 3 months later, instead of a dashboard on Tuesday. The bet that haunts you here is treating measurement as the thing you will get to eventually. Somehow, with AI, teams shipped the least predictable code they have ever run with the least visibility they have ever had. Build the evals before you need them, because the day you need them, it is already a post-mortem. And finally, the one that will haunt you the longest, because it is about people and not systems. Somewhere in the last year, a very reasonable argument got made. The AI can do the junior work now. Why hire graduates to write the simple functions and fix the small bugs when a model does it in seconds? So you stopped hiring juniors. You quietly thinned the bottom of the team. And on this quarter's spreadsheet, it looks brilliant. Here is the horizon you cannot see from that spreadsheet. Your senior engineers became senior by grinding through exactly the work you just automated away. That is where judgment comes from. That is where the instinct for a bad design gets built. If nobody is doing the junior work, nobody is becoming a senior. You have optimized your team for this year and starved it of the next generation. In 5 years, you will be paying a fortune to hire the seniors you refuse to grow, in a market where everyone made the same bet at the same time. The model can replace the task. It cannot replace the career that the task was building. The best leaders I know are using AI to accelerate their juniors, not to erase them. Here is the thread running through all 7. None of these were dumb decisions. Every one of them was the smart, fast, defensible call in the moment. That is exactly why they are dangerous. The AI bets that haunt you are not the reckless ones. They are the ones that won the demo, impressed the board, and shipped on time, while quietly mortgaging a future nobody was looking at yet. Being an AI native CTO is not about moving fast on everything. It is about knowing which speed is real and which speed is borrowed against a bill that arrives later. Keep your optionality, keep your data, keep your team's understanding, and measure the things you cannot see. The frontier will keep moving. Your job is to make bets you can still afford when it does. If this made you glance nervously at a decision you made 6 months ago, you are exactly who I made it for. Subscribe for more of the honest version. And if you know a CTO who needs to hear it, well, you know what to do.